Awesome. Well, thanks again for jumping on. I know that I'm sure people do have a lot of questions, but in the meantime, while people are starting to think of them and fire them into the chat, Coach Rob, do you mind just sharing a little bit about your story and how you got involved with Pruvit and kind of what makes you so passionate about just ketones and metabolic health in general, and kind of your background a little bit?
Yeah, Brendan, great question. And so I've been there from the start. And let me just say this. I think one of the things that makes the Pruvit community so special is, well, two things. Number one, after we finish this, if you wished someone had tuned in, we are welcome to do this again. Y'all, I feel called to do this. I'm very passionate about it. So, every few weeks, sometimes it's good to get a different person on. And I think what makes it unique and special is I have absolutely zero financial interest in doing this. They don't pay me to come on. They're not part of my team. If you like what we say and you decide to buy or try what we have to talk about, awesome, great, fantastic. It doesn't benefit me financially in any way whatsoever. So everything that I'm sharing with you is straight from the heart. I do my best to just provide the facts, and Pruvit is an interesting story because, I think there was some luck, right place, right time. Pruvit, the name, was my old apparel company 7 years ago. And a lot of people don't know that. The CEO is one of my best friends. And we stumbled across a product that, ironically, you could prove ketones in the body, in the blood, at a level that mattered for science to validate what they might do for better health. And I want you to stop right there. If we're talking about a protein or a juice or a lotion or a potion, in this industry, health, fitness, nutrition, the dietary supplement industry, it's very hard to offer something unique that can be validated, that can be quantified. Ketones, pun intended, I suppose, you can prove. Like, we can prove we have the gold standard product. This is a multi-patented product that has a lot of science, a lot of research. I'll talk about a few patents that you could go research that has nothing to do with Pruvit, but validates what this is. But the idea was, for my apparel company, hey, let's create a brand that inspires people. Everyone has an it. Hey, you want to be a better mom, you want to lose some weight, you want to raise awareness for cancer research, whatever it is. What if we could offer an apparel company that would help people prove their it? And the CEO is like, wow, that's really pretty neat. Fast forward, I started researching ketones because my dad had what's now referred to as type 3 diabetes, also known as Alzheimer's. And I just Googled, like any son probably would, or daughter probably would, how do I help my dad who's got early onset dementia and Alzheimer's? And you stumble upon ketones and the ketogenic diet. I became really passionate about the application, not knowing that you could actually supplement these into your body as of 7 years ago. So everything we're talking about wasn't available in the nutrition industry 7 years ago. Since then, we've done probably $1 billion in sales, which is crazy. We just started as a little company here in Louisville, Kentucky. But we have a real product, and I want you guys to hear that from my heart. What we have is real. And we're going to talk about the application, but that's where I got passionate about it. I have my favorite protein, but I can't prove to you why it's any better than what you might get at Costco or Target or the vitamin shop. I have my favorite protein bar or vitamin or fish oil, but supplementally, we can validate and quantify why this is the gold standard, why it's better than everything else out there. And when you can do that, now I don't have to sell you anything. I just have to tell you everything. And that's what I got passionate about, was just telling people, why would you drink ketones daily? A lot of people think this is about fat loss or weight loss, or I would argue what we all have in common is we want to age well. Y'all are a bit younger than me. I'm 51, but when we started this, I was, 44, 45 years old. I'm in better health. I have better biomarkers. I have better body composition now, 6, 7 years later, than when we began. Now, it's not the magic end all be all, but it is an incredible tool that is very special in what it allows the body to do. So that's my background. That's my passion. I lead education for a lot of the field. I love talking to the skeptics and just offering answers to what people want to know. I would just say this. there are 8 words I talk about. When you drink this, it's a powder. We have a few different applications, but it's a powder that comes in a packet. You mix it in water. I make protein shakes with it. We've got a few different delivery systems. Now we come out with this new keto kick little shot, and we've got these ampules, but this is our #1 product. And if I could get everybody in the world to drink this product, they would age better. I believe that with all of my heart, soul, and being. And that's kind of my mission, is to help people become better. And so I talked about the 8 words. When you drink this, the 8 words would be mood and mindset. You know, a lot of people just see a heightened mood. And again, we can quantify when you drink this within 30 minutes, the body has an elevated level of ketones that can be proven with a blood test. Mood and mindset is often one of the first things that we recognize. Appetite and cravings are now under control. So those are the other 2 words. A lot of people that are wanting to alter body composition, not just lose weight. We don't want to lose weight. We want to lose fat and keep muscle. A lot of people that want to alter body composition need help controlling appetite and cravings. Those are the next 2 words. Energy, endurance. Those are the other 2 words. And when I say endurance, you just don't need the afternoon nap. It's not this spike crash energy. You just feel like it's sustained, good, clean energy. We have a caffeinated version and a non-caffeinated version. So it has nothing to do with caffeine as offering the energy. As a matter of fact, it's a caloric nutrient. In other words, it's got a caloric value with the active ingredient called beta hydroxybutyrate, or BHB. And then the last 2 words, this is very important for a lot of people. One of the ways we start people are with like a 5-day trial kit or a 10-day trial kit, or we've got this 20-day drink ketone challenge, or you can do twice a day for 10 days. And I've had people say, well, you know, it's amazing, or it's life-changing, or I don't know. And then they notice when they don't drink it, or people say, you know, I don't know. One of the things that science says and supports is extremely important. It's the last 2 words. It preserves and protects lean body mass. I like to say it helps keep and create. I don't know what it feels like to keep muscle, but to age well, you want to. So that's not a physical feeling, but it's probably 2 of the most important words that comes with this. So mood, mindset, appetite, craving control, energy, endurance, and then keeping and creating muscle. You get all of that, kind of all those boxes checked with this product. So then it opens up all of these applications for people that just want to live their best life.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And just a reminder, if you do have questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I do have one to lob your way right away, if you don't mind, Coach Rob. You know, I think that everyone on this call is at A, different ages, and B, different stages in their ketone journey. And one of the things that attracted Maddie and I to it was that Pruvit prides itself on being a drink, not a diet. But we still have, and I'm sure you do too, and everyone on this call does, a lot of people who get started ask if we have recommendations for how to maybe increase the benefits quicker with a diet is a strong word, but by making small changes in what they're putting into their body. Do you have any recommendations for maybe different?
You know, I do. And sometimes I would say it's congruent with what the message is becoming. But a lot of times when people hear ketones or keto or ketogenic, they immediately go to high fat, low carb. But let me be very clear. Keto or ketones or ketogenic is contingent on low carb, not high fat. In other words, you don't have to eat fat in order to lose fat. That's false. But that's become a marketing kind of story. Here's what I would tell you. This is what I teach and preach. And this should release and put everybody at ease. The only diet that works for Melissa, Maddie, Brendan, I can't see other names. The only diet that works is the one you'll do. Like, just think, that sounds silly and, you know, simple, but the only diet that works is the one you'll do. I can say this: if you'll drink this daily and you'll prioritize lean protein, I can help you develop a diet you'll do. Some people want to drink an adult beverage. Some people like higher fat, low carb. Some people love carbs like me. Nothing is off the table if we can prioritize protein and drink ketones daily. I have kind of these 5 teaching, preaching points. Eating carbs won't make you fat. Over consuming calories is what causes people to gain weight. So it's not just carbs, it could be fat, it's not protein. So carbs won't make you fat, high fat won't make you thin. There's a lot of people that go keto, some have success, but you don't ever hear about the people that don't have success. They're not going to go post, you know, I started keto and I gained 10 pounds. You're not going to see those stories. Or I drank ketones, I took the bread off of my burger, added cheese and bacon, and I got heavier. And so carbs won't make you fat, high fat won't make you thin. Protein should be a priority. If you just camp out and say, hey, I'm going to focus on protein. And yo, I train vegans, vegetarians, pescatarians, didn't know that was a thing, but carnivores, Whole 30, I train everyone. It's not about the diet. It's about the diet you'll do that leads to success that you can sustain. So carbs don't make you fat. High fat will make you thin. Protein should be a priority. Calories always count. This one, you know, is kind of comedic in the space. Hey, you know, ditch the bun, which was 80 calories, but put cheese, bacon, and an extra patty and add 300 calories to your lunch. And people wonder why it doesn't work. Yo, I'm not anti-high fat. Hear me loud and clear. I'm not anti-high fat. I'm not anti-keto. I'm just saying if fat loss is your focus, let's not focus on high amounts of fat, at least at first. So let's just keep it real simple. Single ingredient foods. Food doesn't have ingredients. It is the ingredient. An apple's an apple. What I don't want you having is apple juice. An orange is an orange that you peel and it's still got the fiber. Nobody's fat, out of shape, or overweight from eating an orange. It's the glass of orange juice with added sugar. In other words, just keep it simple, clean, lean. The other point is calories always count. And then context is key. I think that's where the keto conversation has gone, is it's been taken out of context. Hey, drink this and you start burning fat. No, that's not how it works. Drink this and it will control everything that controls fat loss. If you can control your mood and mindset, I don't know about you, but I make better choices. If you control your appetite and cravings, I don't know about you, but I don't overeat. If you can control your energy and endurance, I don't know about you, but I tend to do more, or I'm more active. If you can preserve and protect muscle, you may not know this, but you're more metabolic. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn just sitting here watching this Zoom. So we would do well to keep and create them. So long answer to a very short question. The only diet that works is the one you'll do. Drink ketones daily, focus on lean proteins, single ingredient whole foods, and eat when you're hungry, not because it's time. I think we've so often got into this, well, it's breakfast, I got to eat breakfast. Or it's lunch, it's time to eat lunch. In fact, I don't even call them meals and snacks. I just call it energy in. For example, snacks tend to, people think of something small. Meals, they think something big. Nope, just treat it like your body does. Hey, put energy into your body, something with calories, lean protein, and nothing is off the table. I just tell people, we can help you figure out and find a way to do a diet that you'll do that leads to success, but most importantly, you can sustain.
Awesome. Okay, question in the chat. What is your recommendation for a daily electrolyte intake? I'm assuming, Bill and Erica, you mean how much to take while you're drinking ketones?
Yeah, so electrolytes are important, and we actually have a product that's sitting right here called Mitoplex. A lot of people will do the drink a gallon challenge or whatever, how much water. You know, what's interesting is just because you drink water doesn't mean your body uses that water. And this is a very cost effective, it's like a little side product that we have. You would do well to drink it, use that, because it's like an upgraded electrolyte. Electrolytes are essential for sound metabolic health. But again, if you're drinking ketones daily, if you're staying well hydrated, if you're getting sleep, if you're eating real food, electrolyte imbalance shouldn't be an issue. It's more of an issue for people that kind of go keto, right? That go high fat, low carb. And we're going to encourage people, hey, if fat loss is your focus, which a lot of people it is, I can fix that plateau. I can fix where you seem stale and stuck. Just stop eating as much fat, add a little more protein, maybe some more veggies, you know, start some sort of activity and watch the scale start to move.
Great. Going back to the question about food before, Dawn asks, she hasn't counted calories in the past, but if she wanted to get a ballpark, how would you recommend figuring out how many calories a person needs?
You know, that's interesting. It's one of the number one questions I get. And I guess her name was Donna. Donna, that's a great question. The problem is there's so much context. You know, if you're someone 300 pounds that sits and is sedentary all day, the answer would be different than if you were a 185-pound man that did CrossFit and ran ultra marathons. So it's very difficult to give you a accurate, but I can give you a guesstimate. And let's just say something like this. Number one, let me state, most people overconsume calories because they trust this macro calculator or they trust their Apple Watch. Or y'all, I went from 234 to 214. I lost, what did I lose? I went from 234 to 210 in 50 days when I first started this kind of body comp keto. Hey, I'm going to eat carbs. I'm not going to eat high fat. I'm going to prioritize protein, where I kind of came up with what works for me, the diet Coach Rob will do. And I lost 24 pounds in 50 days. And I probably averaged for sure under 1,500 calories. Now that would blow people's minds. Here's what happens. All of these apps and these, watches, and they don't know who you are. They don't know what you do. They're all guesstimates based on national databases. Like my height and weight would call me obese if you look at some of the database. I'm 215 pounds, but only 5'9". Well, that's obese. Well, I promise you, I'm not. I'm fairly healthy for my height, age, and weight. So I would say this. Here's a great guesstimate. Number one, most people are over consuming calories. Number two, what if we just said goal weight times 10? Okay, so let's say you want to be 170 pounds, goal weights, 170 times 10. Let's start at 1,700 calories. Now, I have no idea. Are they currently eating 2,500 calories? Are they currently eating 1,400 calories? I don't know, but that's kind of a rough guesstimate that's accepted in some of the coaching circles. Here's a better question, and most people don't know the answer. How many calories are you currently consuming? Like, you expect Coach Rob, who knows nothing about you, and I'm not picking on Donna, this is the question I get all the time. You're expecting me to tell you how many calories, and most people have no clue how many calories. Like she said it herself, she doesn't count calories. Donna, congratulations, you're just like me. I didn't either. What I would tell you is, once we figure out a diet you'll do, you will never have to count calories. Once we figure out what that looks like, and y'all, I'm not here to plug anything, and we always do the right thing and steer people back. Reach out to Melissa and Maddie. I have a little coaching site with some free resources. I have what's called a macro map. I don't want to give you my site and all that and steer traffic to me, but I'm going to give them a copy of it. So if you want to figure out how to track and come up with, hey, I don't know how many calories I'm consuming, it's a little 6-day map that will show you, hey, choose this and this and this, track it. I do all the calorie counting. It makes all the macro math really simple. I'll make sure Maddie and Melissa get a copy of that. And it'll just give you a basis, right? You'll be like, gosh, I was eating 2,000 calories. And Coach Rob, when he went and lost 24 pounds, was eating 1,500. No wonder this is so hard. And then it's creating different options. I put into perspective really quick with people. Look, if you're going to have carbs, something with more carbs, make sure you have something that's low fat, but prioritize protein. If you have something that's higher fat, make sure that meal has lower carbs, but prioritize protein. So never have carbs alone, never have fat alone, never have a cheese and avocado chaffle waffle thing that all the keto people make, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not a great starting point. In other words, hey, if you're going to have the chaffle waffle with cheese and avocado, make sure you have 4 or 5 ounces of lean lunch meat turkey or some rotisserie chicken breast. In other words, prioritize protein every time you put energy in your body. You can't go wrong. A lot of people are caught up in, the glycemic index of a white potato versus a sweet potato. Look, you should never have a potato alone on its own. If you have a white potato with some chicken breast, the glycemic index doesn't matter or make a difference. The protein paired with that carb makes everything work. So I would just tell people, I don't know, did I answer your question? I don't even remember what the question is. Body weight, goal weight times 10. There we go.
That's great. Okay, another question. Would you say it's better to drink ketones before, during, or after a workout?
I'll tell you what I do, and then I'll tell you kind of the goal. I do probably 2 packets every day, sometimes 3, but for sure 2. And one of my packets is Keto Pro. Keto Pro is kind of a different flavor, different formula, some healthy fat, a little bit of protein, not as much ketones, but very tasty. So I'll make kind of this protein shake in the afternoon. But every single morning, on most mornings, and again, averages matter. Like, I don't want your average calories Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because if you're like me, Friday, Saturday, Sunday always looks different. Like, we eat different, we do different, we consume different, whatever. So it's averages over 6 or 7 days. And that's why the macro map is helpful, because it'll give you a 6-day map and can help you develop averages. But I drink this every single morning before I go work out. I don't believe in pre-workouts. I don't believe in high stimulants. I don't believe in any of that. And this serves me well. And again, the only diet that works is the one I'll do. The only supplements that works are the ones I'll do. The only workout that works is the one I'll do. So I would tell people the reason this is so beneficial first thing in the morning, and I would encourage people, a scoop of protein is the greatest way to start your day. You know, I'm not a big intermittent fast fan because I don't think it's the best way. Now, if it's a great way for you to do the diet you'll do, awesome. I don't think it's the best way to completely keep and create muscle. And that's my goal as I age. So, and I'm not talking a bunch of food. I'm just saying I have a scoop of protein in water and a pack of ketones every morning before I leave the house. Every morning before I leave the house. Now, I would tell people the best time to have this is when you want 3 to 4 hours of those 8 words: mood, mindset, energy, endurance, appetite, craving, and muscle preservation protection. Well, I want to be in a good mood and mindset when I leave the house. I want to preserve and protect my muscle when I leave the house. I want to control my appetite and have energy when I leave the house. So typically, if you're doing this once a day, I think first thing in the morning. However, let's say your budget accounts for 1 pack a day. Well, maybe it's, I'm going to get up and I'm going to have a scoop of protein, or I'm going to have some eggs, or I'm going to have whatever I'm going to have, and I'll drink my 1 pack that I have a day, maybe in the afternoon, because it'll keep me from that snack, or it'll help get me through to, you know, the next meal or the next energy in opportunity. So I don't think there's a wrong time. I just think the best time is on an empty stomach with protein, not protein and carb, not protein and fat, you know, because food will accomplish the appetite and craving control, right? So we don't need food with this. I just am a big believer that ketones tell the protein in the body how to better make muscle. So that's why I put them kind of together.
Cool. Speaking of protein, what are your thoughts on quality of protein in terms of like powder versus food?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I would tell you, I believe in different amino acid profiles. Amino acids is a fancy way of saying protein. It's like the Legos or the building blocks of protein. I'm a big believer in animal-based protein. It's just superior. Doesn't mean vegan protein is bad. It's just not as beneficial at building muscle. That's just what science says. So it's not something I say. Dr. Ryan Lowry, one of our specialists, does a great job talking about plant-based protein. I believe in plant-based protein. I just don't think it's the best protein for building muscle. But again, a vegan's not going to do a carnivore diet, and vice versa. So the only diet that works is the one you'll do. But I would tell you this: real food is always best. Real food is always best. But I'm not going to get up and make 6 egg whites or 8 egg whites before I leave. Instead, I'll just have a scoop of protein. It's real easy. So don't minimize the diet you'll do. I won't do a diet where I've got to get up and cook egg whites, you know, or I won't do a diet where I'm going to eat lean lunch meat or some chicken breast before I leave the house in the morning. I'm just not going to do that. So I don't think we want to take a dogmatic position and say, hey, you know, real food is the only way, it's the best way. It's probably the superior way. We know that. That's kind of obvious. But I don't, there's a dozen other things that we would want to focus on first than what type of protein. I just want you to get enough protein for starters, and then we'll worry about, well, am I getting too much protein powder or too much protein real food? You know, let's just have enough protein. And I would say and argue most people for sure don't, and many of those aren't even close.
Great. Okay, another question. Can you talk a little bit about who's competing, if anybody, with Pruvit? Sometimes we hear people, and I think all of us do, saying that they'll just get the same thing on Amazon for $30. Can you talk a little bit about what makes Pruvit better?
Well, first of all, we have some patents that validate, and look, there's just, so I could go into the chemistry and the isomer and the type of salt, a DL salt versus an R salt. At the end of the day, quality matters, and quality can be quantified. So if you say, well, I'll just buy something different on Amazon, awesome, good job, wasted your money. It may taste great, placebo effect might help, but I can promise you, if it doesn't have the R salts, if it doesn't have fermented leucine, if it doesn't have CMed 100, if it doesn't have, see, this isn't just ketones, it's a ketone formulation. And it's the word synergistic means this: 1 + 1 would ordinarily equal 2, but a synergistic effect is 1 + 1 = greater than 2. So when you take BHB R salts, our isomer, which we have patented, you can't get them from any of these Amazon products, etc. You combine it with a certain amount of fermented leucine, and you combine it with a patented, proven ingredient that clinically has been proven to repair DNA. You put all of that together, you create this synergistic effect that's a multiplier of what everyone else is trying to sell. So I can just tell you, hey, if you think it's better on Amazon, go take your money, buy a blood monitor, prick your finger before, drink our product, prick your finger after, tell us what your blood millimolars are with ketones. And then wait a day, go drink your Amazon $30 product, prick your blood finger before, prick your blood finger or your finger after you drink the $30 product, and you'll probably cry and want to send it back. Like, it's just, it is what it is. And that's okay. It's just, that's one variable, number one. Number two, a second variable is there's no opportunity to get free product. And I think that's a pretty neat opportunity. There's no opportunity to share and be incentivized to help others, which I think is a pretty neat opportunity. So there's just, look, it's never been more true, especially in this industry. And if we're talking about a topic as big as anti-aging, I've not run across anybody that wants just okay. They want the best. Hey, if we're going to help you with anti-aging, do you want an okay product or you want the best? Nobody says an okay product. Well, what about the cost? I can help quantify the cost. I can help account for the cost. Like, if you follow my coaching and I show you how to eat, you'll shop differently where I can offset the cost. It's, people say, well, what does it cost? It's anywhere from free to about $5 a serving. Well, gosh, that sounds expensive. Well, not for naturally fermented ketones, it isn't. Like, they just don't exist. There's nothing to compare it to. And then the benefits. But if cost is the obstacle, then let's go account for it. Let's go shop differently. Let's go cook differently. Let's eat out less. And that's all the things you can actually track and monitor. We can't track and monitor, being sick less or being more productive at work, or, all the things that come with being a better version of yourself. So again, long answer, short question. Sorry.
All good. This is gold. Thank you. Okay. Maddie's jotting down questions all over the place for me. So can you talk a little bit about male versus female in terms of eating and maybe even working out too? Is there a difference?
No, I don't think so. I think, I've run across some pretty amazing men athletes, workout people, some pretty amazing women athletes, workout people. Here's our goal. Like I call it the 3 S's. Like, this is what everyone should do to age well. 3 S's: stimulus, supply, and sleep. Stimulus, supply, and sleep. Stimulus is, if you're not strength training, I'm not talking about just walking on a treadmill and walking your dog. I'm not talking about you just run. If you're not doing progressive overload strength training, which is a fancy way of just saying, try to get stronger, lifting more. If you're not stimulating your bicep to tell your brain it's necessary and needed, you're going to lose your bicep over time. That's just part of aging. If you don't use your legs for more than walking, jogging, you're going to lose your leg muscles. So the first S is a stimulus. Just go stimulate your, and look, there's 1,000 videos on YouTube. Just go Google at home beginning no weight workout, and there's 50 videos that'll pop up. Just, hey, sit down in a chair and stand up. Congratulations, you just did a body weight squat. Now do 10 of them 3 times a week. You know, like there's such simple ways to go practice what we're kind of preaching and teaching. So strength is one, that's the stimulus. Second one is supply. You know, it's interesting. People always ask me, well, how much fat can I have, or how many carbs should I have? Nobody asks how much protein. Like protein should always be your priority. Protein is the supply. It's the brick and mortar of what builds your skin, your hair, your muscle. Okay. So protein is really important. I tell people all the time, you know, you don't need, wife or girlfriend, that real expensive shampoo and conditioner from Ulta or Ultra or whatever the name of the store is. Just get some cheap Plus and eat more protein. Like your hair will be just fine. And it's so true. So strength, stimulus, sleep. Y'all, sleep is a weapon, you know, and that's something that I don't know if we can quantify or not. You start drinking ketones, eventually your body's going to signal better. It's going to recover better. It's going to recuperate better. That's why this is so important for athletes. So if you can master those 3, stimulus, supply, and sleep, and then you're taking something that maximizes, hey, when I provide a stimulus, my body knows how to better build muscle. Hey, when I provide the supply to build the muscle, my body knows better how to use it. Hey, when I provide a signaling molecule from the body to the brain, how to shut down, recover, regenerate, and repair, you know, I'm doing well to age well.
Perfect. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you mentioned that you're not a fan of intermittent fasting for you. Can you talk about, I know that you are a fan of the 60-hour reboot. Can you talk a little bit about that and some of the benefits that come along with extended fasting?
Yeah. And look, you could probably talk to people that are smarter than me about intermittent fasting. I think anytime you go 18 hours or however long without protein, you are going to catabolize muscle. I just believe that's what science says. And what is the goal of intermittent fasting? Most people are doing it to alter body composition. Well, one of the things you don't want to do is lose lean body mass. It's very hard as you age to add muscle, let alone very easy to lose muscle. And I want to eliminate any possible way or minimize any possible way that would cause my body to lose muscle at the expense of, well, what if I just had some chicken breast or egg whites or a scoop of protein? Well, yeah, that broke my intermittent fast, but what is my goal of the intermittent fast? To change my body composition. So it's not going to change the end result. It's just going to change how maybe you got there. And I would argue it's a more effective way of how to get there. However, doesn't make me right, just means that's the way that I've found best. And I think science better supports for most people, number one. Number two, and let me put a little caveat to that, especially because even people who intermittent fast, or there's this concept called OMAD, 1 meal a day, an acronym for 1 meal a day. There's no way you're not going to lose muscle if you're following an OMAD diet. You just can't put enough protein in your body to meet your body's protein needs in 1 meal. So that would be my other argument is, hey, if you want to intermittent fast, you better be spot on and consume enough or even overconsume protein, which is almost never the case for most people. So I'm just trying to minimize any adverse effects that might come from that without compromising the ultimate goal. Hey, we just want to lose fat and keep and create muscle. We want to lose fat, keep and create muscle. Even people that don't have to lose fat, they want to be effective fat burners for when they do need to lose fat. But Keto Reboot, I was introduced to fasting, and one of the benefits, you heard me say muscle preservation protection, right? So I was very against fasting, and a buddy of mine, Shane Frills, who's one of my promoters. By the way, guys, one of my #1 guys said no for 14 months. How many people quit sharing this within 4 weeks or 4 months? Or he said no for 14 months, and now he's like one of my top guys, and it's why we're into every CrossFit gym in Canada, because he finally said yes. So let that be a little side note and lesson. There is no pressure here. It's just people will say yes when they're ready to say yes. But he introduced me to fasting, and I was like, I would never fast. Like everything I just said, I don't want to lose muscle. However, once a month, I think there's greater benefits as opposed to the detriments of going through a extended fast. #1 being digestive rest and metabolic reset. In other words, well, wait a minute, coach, you just said if you go without this for 16 hours, you're going to lose muscle. I did say that. And if you go through a 60-hour fast, you're going to lose muscle. I would agree with that. But the greater benefit of an extended fast once a month, not every week, once a month, far outweighs the detriment. Okay. And let me explain. I would say digestive rest is so important because it creates this concept I refer to as exponential nutrition. Imagine if I had sweet potato, broccoli, chicken, avocado, whatever, okay, my plate of food. I can get more of the macro and micronutrition. Macro is protein, carb, fat. Nutrition, the micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals. I can get more vitamins and minerals and more protein, carb, fat from that same plate of food after I've performed digestive rest, after I've improved my gut health. There's science that supports increased in growth hormone levels and testosterone levels and all of the benefits as part of fasting. And by the way, that's kind of our native state, as humans, as we evolved from hunter-gatherers to now grocery stores, fasting was a part of, our evolution. So the cool thing is we minimize that. So when I first was introduced to fasting, I said, let's put this to the test. And I did DEXA scan and I did an InBody 570 scan, and I fasted for 6 days, like just water and ketones for 6 days, and lost negligible amount of muscle. And the benefits were just off the charts. So we put together the very first one. It was 3 people, me, a guy named Big Shane Davison, and Crystal Peak Price. I remember it was like Easter 6 years ago because I had eaten all this candy and Peeps and Cadbury and Reese's eggs and jelly beans and junk. And I just felt awful. And that was our very first, we just called it a water fast. We just drank ketone. We call it a ketone and water fast. Pretty original. And then 3 people turned into 300 because it was amazing. And, people are like, well, why 60 hours? We came up with that because it was like the upper limit and the timing worked out. You start on a Sunday night, you're done eating at 9 o'clock. Well, then you go 2 days. So it's really psychologically just 2 days, although it's 60 hours, it's 2 full days. And that's kind of the upper limit. Well, why not 48 hours? Because right when the going gets good, we don't want to throw in the towel. And what I mean by that is it takes about a day or a little more to deplete what's called glycogen from your body. Glycogen is stored carbohydrates in your muscle and liver. And it takes about a day to do that. Well, as soon as you deplete that, now you're just pure fat burner. Well, so we don't want to throw in the towel and say, wow, congrats, you fasted for a day. And right when you get into complete fat burning, you start eating again. Well, then fat burning stops. And so we created this kind of time frame where it was kind of a stretch. Y'all, I don't want to say I hate it. It's hard for me every time. I love food that much, but it's so good for me every single month. And I would tell you, it's part of why I've been, I say this very humbly, I've been aging really well. Like most people my age don't gain muscle over the last 6 years. And Pruvit's done a study on me personally with DEXA and InBody. I've actually gained muscle from the time I was 45 to 51 and lost body fat. Now, I've done my part, I've eaten better, but I mean, that's still not typical and it's still not normal. So that's the reboot. It's something we do monthly. We have this little formula, ketones daily. We have a 24 fast, which is like a 24-hour kind of metabolic reset. We call it Metabolic Mondays. Weekly, reboot monthly, and then I would just say patience continually. You know, one of the interesting things about a fast is the extended fast, where people need to have patience, is most people are so fixated on the scale. I've seen people gain 3 pounds without eating for 3 days. Well, why is that? Because water weighs something. Like, it's just real simple. Water weighs something. But if you'll continue to do it every single month, you'll have people that will lose 6 pounds in 60 hours. And then you'll have all the Instagram gurus and all the health coaches say, well, that's impossible. There's no way they lost 6 pounds. No, it's possible. It's just all the realized fat loss from the prior 30 days, if that makes sense. In other words, fat cells don't disappear, they shrink. But before they shrink, they oftentimes fill with water. Well, the reboot has a way of revealing past success. So 30 days worth of fat loss wasn't even revealed. They got on the scale, they're frustrated, they go through a reboot and they're like, oh my gosh, I lost 6 pounds. Well, they really did lose 6 pounds, but it was just the realized 6 pounds from the prior 30 days, a little bit each day. So it's, again, it's all rooted in science. This isn't, you know, theory. It's all real. It's not some hypothesis. It's all anecdotal and clinical and scientific, you know, validation.
Awesome. Well, I do know that you have to jump off here really quickly. If you have time, we would love to hear. Last question, really quickly, what is the difference between the free cell technology that Pruvit has and then the Keto OS NAT that I think we're all probably more familiar with than the free cell?
Yeah, so one is a salt, a ketone salt, or a mineral salt, and one is a amino acid. So a lot of people notice, hey, why is there this much sodium or whatever? Well, you have to bond beta hydroxybutyrate to a salt. And when I say salt, I'm speaking chemistry terms. So salt versus a base, I'm not saying table salt, NaCl. There's a big difference. And then the free cell technology is, there is no mineral salts. They bonded it to an amino acid, like a little protein amino acid. And so I would argue this one works longer and this one works faster. So that would be the difference. I think there's a place for both. You know, certainly, you know, a lot of people will dive into, well, you know, I got to watch my sodium, according to whom and according to what and according to why, you know, because there's just a lot of information that isn't relevant information. We've all heard, wait a minute, too much protein is bad for the kidneys. No, it's not. There's not a single study on planet Earth, you know, and I'm very passionate about practical applications. There's plenty of people that will, you know, have these dogmatic views. I'm not afraid of sucralose. There's not a single human study on sucralose toxicity. Now, you can show me a rat study. Well, I'm not a rat, number one. And number two, I'm talking common dose, right? So the artificial sweetener, hey, if you don't feel it's best for you or it upsets your tummy, great. I'm just saying context matters. And when it comes to, you know, too much protein or sodium or whatever, I just have to look at the research, and what the research says and supports is what I go with. I don't mistake perfect for practical. Never have. And that's why I think, you know, what I do is sustainable.
That's great. Well, we do want to be respectful of your time and know that you need to go. So we can't thank you enough for doing this.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Maddie, you and Melissa. You guys made my day. That was a sweet little text. Like, I'm not a sentimental guy, but I was very, stuff like that matters to me. And y'all, I just would tell you, what we didn't talk about is our community. Like, our community is amazing. Just the coaching and the camaraderie and what you can get from this beyond just the health benefits, beyond just the mental, emotional, you know, in some regards, spiritual. There's just a lot of human interaction that is really a cool dynamic that people don't get in their workplace. They don't get at their homes. They don't get in their neighborhoods. They don't get at their churches. That makes it kind of, I mean, I didn't know Melissa or Maddie, and Melissa sent me a picture from, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. I was like, I do remember you, but you didn't look the same. So anyways, y'all take care. Have a great night. Thanks, Brandon.